Very good afternoon. Welcome to this webinar, which we are organizing in partnership with our colleagues from the MSCA unit in Brussels. Today, what we're going to bring you is a very interesting Marie Curie action, a very interesting program, which is called the Staff Exchanges. It is an international, inter-sectoral, interdisciplinary program which allows staff from different institutions from different parts of the world to collaborate and also to visit their institutions. My name is Samrat Kumar. I'm the country coordinator of Eurexis India, and it gives me an immense pleasure to have so many of you here. It shows that there is a huge interest in India-Europe collaboration. Now, without any further delay, let me first welcome our main guest speaker today, Ms. Anne Nirobisch. She's a European advisor at the UK Research Office in Brussels, and she's one of the two UK national contact points for the Marie Curie actions. A very well welcome to you, Anne. Happy to have you with us.
Thank you. If you'd like me to start now, I'm happy to.
Let me just also introduce quickly our second speaker, and that's Professor Jorge Diaz. He's the professor from the Department of Electrical Engineering and Computers at the University of Coimbra in Portugal. And he's the project coordinator of MSCA Staff Exchange program, which is known as Ecobotics.SEA. A very warm welcome to you, Professor Jorge, joining us from Portugal.
Yes, it was my pleasure. Thank you very much, Samrat. And good morning, Anne. That's a good opportunity for promoting the Marie Curie activities under this project. It's very special in joining a partner that is National Oceanographic Institute in India that is joining us. Okay.
So we're very much looking forward to hearing more about this collaboration with Indian partner institution, Professor Jorge. But first, Anne, please tell us, what is the Marie Curie Action Staff Exchange, and what the call is open right now. So please explain it to us. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd be very happy to. Just give me 1 second, please, to share my slides, which is always fun. I hope. Okay, let me just quickly, 1 quick second. Can everyone see my slides, please?
Yeah,
okay.
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much for this kind introduction, Samrat. I'm really happy to be here. And I'm also looking forward to George's presentation later on. But first, let me just introduce you to the Marie Curie Skłodowska Staff Exchanges. First, a very quick overview of the agenda and who I am. My name is Anne. I'm one of the two UK Marie Curie NCPs, so our national contact points. And we are basically answering questions in relation to the Marie Curie actions and UK participation in the scheme. So fittingly, my first topic will be about the UK relationship with the EU. Then I will outline the Marie Curie Staff Exchanges and how India and organizations can participate in them. And then later on, there will be a question and answer session, but I understand that Samrat will be then telling you when the session will be. But I will remain at your disposition to answer your questions. Without much further ado, let's first look into UK's relationship with the EU. So the UK's relationship with the EU, participation Horizon Europe, what is currently going on? You might all know that in December 22, the UK and the EU have concluded their negotiations on the Trade and Cooperation Agreement. This was following Brexit, and this was basically an agreement on how future UK-EU relationships should be handled. And as part of this agreement, there was an announcement that the UK intends to associate to Horizon Europe. This will include full participation in the program, the only exception being the ESC Accelerator Investment Fund. Hence, the UK is currently able to participate and coordinate projects, Horizon Europe projects, including Marie Curie Skłodowska projects. To be much more precise, you can even have a look at the European Commission's Q&A. I've provided you a link here in the slides. The slides will be uploaded, so you're welcome to afterwards go and click on this link. But basically, this Q&A confirms the UK eligibility to apply to Horizon Europe and it states that UK applicants will be treated as if the UK is already an associated country to Horizon Europe. If you have more questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A box. What does this mean for the Marie Curie, for the 22 Marie Curie Staff Exchange Call? Well, it does mean that UK-based organizations and researchers can be a beneficiary, they can be a coordinator, they can send staff on secondment, and they can host secondments. So the UK can fully participate as if they're already an associated country with all the rights and all the obligations this entails. Now, that being said, we are also fully aware that there has been a delay in the UK associating to Horizon Europe. Basically, to support researchers during this time, the UK government has announced the Horizon Europe guarantee, which is covering all eligible current applications with a deadline before the 21st of December 2020. In the meantime, the UK government is continuing to monitoring the situation, and this guarantee may be updated if necessary. As an additional measure, on July 2020, on the 20th of July 2020, the UK government also announced an additional package with measures to support, UK participation in Horizon Europe or to support the UK research sector. This will only come in force if the UK does not associate, but it does cover third country participation of the UK in Horizon Europe projects. So basically, the UK government is ensuring that the UK research in Horizon Europe can go ahead as basically as planned. And I want to be very clear here that the intention of the UK is still to associate to Horizon Europe. That being said, let's now go and have a look at a quick overview look for the Marie Curie actions. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with this scheme, so I will just give you a very brief overview. This is basically Horizon Europe. It may look like a bit confusing, but what you need to know is Horizon Europe is a European research funding program with approximately 100 billion funding available from 21 to 27. It has 3 pillars, and the Marie Curie actions basically form part of pillar 1. This scheme has several key features, which I will now outline. And then we will go into more detail on the staff exchange scheme. First of all, you need to know that all the schemes under Marie Curie operate on a bottom-up basis. So any subject area is welcome to apply. I would like to repeat this because it's very important. There is no defined research areas in the scheme. You can apply with whatever research area you want. And basically, all research is supported from basic research to near market uptake. And the main thing which I would like to flag here, because people always are a bit confused when they first hear about the scheme, that's why I'm here to basically clarify any confusion you have, is that Marie Curie places a huge emphasis on the 3I approach to mobility. What they mean is they would like their research projects to be interdisciplinary, intersectoral, and international. Basically research from different disciplines, intersectoral. That's why there's a huge emphasis, especially in this scheme, on the participation of the non-academic sector, in particular SMEs, industry, or even charities, basically the non-academic sector, as well as international, so third country participation. They really welcome the participation of third countries such as India, China, you name it, because of the expertise this international scheme brings, the expertise basically of different organizations in really different countries participating and bringing expertise together. I might not have been very clear, but just as a summary, the European Commission really wants participation of third countries, such as India, in this international scheme. This program, this scheme, is not only a research scheme, but also a training scheme. You can see here several items, what the European Commission or what the European Union basically wants to achieve via the scheme. And it's basically not only research and international collaboration and interdisciplinary collaboration, but also promoting researchers' career, furthering their skills, equipping them with all the skills and knowledge they need to become really interdisciplinary, international researchers, and perhaps even entrepreneurs. Okay. I know that people always like figures. Hence, I brought a few figures with me. And I would welcome you to have a look at them. You can basically see how many researchers have been funded and patents have been filled, and also that there's been a high satisfaction of training on transferable skills. Here are the different schemes under the Marie Curie actions. I'm now focusing only on this particular scheme, the staff exchanges. And without much further ado, let's have a look at them. Sorry, I'm just checking the time. Okie dokie. So I'm aware that I'm now going to throw a lot of information on you. Hence, I will try to really work out the key points you need to know, you need to be aware of, in order to decide whether the scheme is for you, whether you want to participate in the scheme, and what you need to do in order to participate in the scheme. First of all, what actually is a Marie Curie Staff Exchange? Well, it is a collaborative research project between, let's say, you as an Indian organization and several other organizations in other countries. We'll go on the nitty-bitty grids in a second, but all you need to know is an international consortium working on a common research project implemented through secondments. So staff, researchers will be seconded from one institution to the other. That being said, so basically, and this will help you in developing or establishing new existing collaborations, increasing your global cooperation, but also, and that is another point where to which I will add more information in a few minutes, it is also supposed to help your researchers, the ones you second to another organization, in gaining new skills, in learning, in taking up new knowledge, and then return to your host institution, or return to your institution, and then further disseminate this knowledge. So basically, it is not only a tool to increase your global outreach and increase your international research community, but also learn new skills via the research project you will be doing in this call. And again, it is a fully bottom-up scheme, so any research areas are welcome. And it funds basic research through to near market activities across all sectors, with a maximum duration of 4 years and 360 person months. Okay. Oh, and I nearly forgot, but again, I just want to flag this. There is a huge emphasis from the European Commission that there's an increased collaboration between the different sectors, including SMEs. So it's not only international, it's also inter-sectoral. So if you're an SME or a non-academic institution listening in, this call might also be for you. And I will be providing more information on this in a few slides. And again, if you have any questions, there will be a Q&A session. Sorry. How's this? Okay, working. So basically, what are the benefits for benefits basically if you would like to participate in the scheme? So basically for staff members, the benefits are as follows. By being seconded to another institution in a new country, where basically you have new research expertise, new skills, different research infrastructure, they will learn new skills, new knowledge, or even interdisciplinary, even if you have an interdisciplinary secondment, new research skills, new knowledge in another research field. That will increase their employability and career prospects, and also allow them to gain international exposure and build new collaborative networks. But at the same time, this is also a benefit for you, the organization. So it's really benefiting both sides. As organizations, you will basically gain your knowledge, because it is a key point in Marie Curie Staff Exchanges that the researcher, after being seconded, has to return to the sending institution and then disseminate whatever he or she has learned. So you will basically learn whatever the researcher has learned at his or her previous secondment host institution. You can increase your NI capabilities. And again, this will help you to develop and build sustainable international partnerships, both intersectoral, interdisciplinary, and international. I've been talking a lot about, being in a consortium, but I haven't been really clear on what this consortium would look like. And now as I said, we're going to go into the nitty-gritty bits and details. And here I would like to spend a little bit more time, just that we are really clear on what is being required, etc. So who can participate? That's always the first question I get asked. the answer is any legal entity established in the academic or non-academic sector in the world can participate. However, a Marie Curie Staff Exchange, and that's another question I get asked a lot, is not a monobeneficiary scheme. That means not only one organization can apply. You have to apply as part of a consortium. That's the thing. And the consortium minimum requirements are 3 different legal entities established in 3 different countries must basically form the consortium, and 2 of which must be based in a different EU member state or as an Europe associated country. For example, one combination I could think of would be France, Germany, and India. France and Germany are basically based in 2 different EU member states, and India would then be the 3rd country, the 3rd organization in the 3rd country, and that would be enough to fulfill this minimum eligibility criteria. Just to note that if the organizations are from the same sector, at least one of these countries must be from a 3rd country, and this is really hopefully driving the point home that the European Commission places a huge emphasis on the participation of the non-academic sector. So they're really trying to, encourage you to work intersectoral and work in an intersectoral manner in this call. Now, I always get a lot of questions about what is the academic and what is the non-academic sector. I'm providing you here with the definition of the academic and the non-academic sector. Academic sector is basically any institution, an education establishment institution, which is awarding an academic degree or is doing research. And the non-academic sector is basically everyone not fulfilling the criteria listed above. However, and that's also another question I get asked a lot, people are always wondering, is my organization, is this now an academic or non-academic organization? And if you ask yourself this question, I would encourage you to check as follows. When you want to participate in Horizon Europe calls, and that not only goes for this particular call, but for all Horizon Europe calls. When you want to participate in Horizon Europe calls, so basically European funding calls, you need to be legally validated by the European Commission. So your organization has to provide certain documents in order to be legally validated, basically that you're existing, that you're a legal entity according to the laws of your home country, etc. And as part of this validation, they will assign you a status, and that would be either academic and non-academic. And that is the only status that matters during your application. You'd have to check basically what status you've been assigned to. And as a personal aside, please check this as early as possible, also with your partner institutions, what status they've been assigned to by the European Commission, because otherwise we've seen cases where there have been quite nasty surprises. So please check this as early as you can during your proposal development. Okie dokie. Sorry, I'm just checking the time. Okay. So basically, there's also been a question about the typical consortium size. What is the typical consortium size? There's no typical consortium size. That's the thing. Basically, we've seen consortia range from 3 to 20 organizations, but the consortium size depends on the needs of the individual project. And it should be really how much consortium partners you need in order to successfully complete your research project. What I would like to add here, though, is 2 definitions which you really need to be aware of: beneficiary and associate partner. EU member state or associated countries, institutions in these in EU member states or associated countries will be beneficiaries. That means they can send staff on secondment and host seconded researchers and also provide training opportunities. If you're located in a 3rd country, India, then you'd have to be an associated partners. You can host seconded staff, you can provide training opportunities, but when it comes to sending staff on secondment, there are specific funding eligibility rules which apply, and I will go over these in a second. But I just would like to be really clear that you know the difference between beneficiary and associated partner, and that basically you are aware that located in a 3rd country, that means associated partner under the Marie Curie Staff Exchange Call. Okie dokie. I was saying about secondment eligibility for European Commission funding. I was basically talking about European Commission funding rules. And I was saying, well, be careful about being funded for the secondments. And I would like to go into more details on this. So this picture here, and I know it's looking a bit ugly. That's why I will spend some more time on this slide. This picture here is basically giving you the overview over the funding eligibility criteria for secondments. I would like to note that this is not my picture. This picture has been taken from the 22 Marie Curie Staff Exchange Guide for Applicants, and I've put a link to this guide here. So you can always, once the slides have been uploaded, always click on this and read through it. But basically what this picture is showing is with the green tick, yes, will be funded. With this orange cross, no, will not be funded. We're going to ignore the 1/3 for now because first I just would like you to highlight the key points for India, which is if you have a sending institution from an academic organization, let's say, in a new member state or associated country, for example, Germany, sorry, I just need to, they can send staff to India and they would be fully eligible for funding. So basically, staff from your member states, France, Germany, UK, can say send to your institution that will be fully funded. I'll provide you more details on the funding levels in a moment. However, so basically what we really need to think about is sending institution, hosting institution, and then basically read the table like this. And now comes my however. That also means that India would not, if you as an Indian institution were to send staff to your member states, that would not be funded and would have to be covered by your own funding stream or national funding. However, I would like to emphasize that still any staff being sent from your member state or Horizon Europe associated country would be funded, would be fully funded, their costs would be covered. So you can still participate and increase your global outreach and also learn from European researchers, participate in international consortium if you want, or basically you can check whether they're Indian funding sources and then send your own staff on secondments in such a project. Okay, Okay, I'm sorry, it's just my mouse was going weird for a moment. The 1/3 is something I will not go into much detail into because this is relating more to your member states and Horizon Europe associated countries. This is basically a specific funding rule for EU member states and Horizon Europe associated countries because the European Commission is really trying to now have an international member, to have international members, to have third countries in their consortium. So basically countries which are not yet, who are not associated to Horizon Europe or not your member states. And it just musically means this 1/3 that only 1/3 of the total secondments funded by the EC can be between your member states or associated countries within the same sector. And again, this also shows that they want, they don't want secondments in the same sector only. They want secondments which are intersectoral. So this scheme is really putting a large emphasis again on international collaboration and intersectoral and interdisciplinary collaboration. Okie dokie. Secondments. So staff going on secondments. If you send staff on secondments, they must have the appropriate experience to undertake the activities and must work full-time while on secondment. They must be under the direction and instruction of the sending institution during the secondment for the entire duration of the secondment. So you could send PhD students, you could send technical staff, you can send research assistant, administrative staff, senior researchers, etc., as long as they have the appropriate expertise and as long as they're linked to the project. And again, I said this, but sometimes your researchers might have part-time working arrangements, but during the secondment, they must be working full-time. They will be funded. Basically, any cost associated with the secondment will be funded if they are eligible for funding. So, if for example France were to send researchers to your institution, they would be fully funded. But at the same time, all these rules apply. Okay. Some key features for the secondments. I'm aware that these rules seem very tricky. But I would like to point out that we've had cases of universities where they've participated in RISE projects and have been successful in RISE projects from the get-go because they've spent the time to familiarize with them and then applied. Because once you understand the rules, it's actually an easy scheme. So the rules for secondments is one secondment must last between 1 to 12 months. So if you send your researcher on a secondment, the researcher has to be seconded for a minimum of 1 month, 30 days, or 12 months at the maximum. The maximum person months for a project will be 360. So there will not be more than 360 months of secondments for the entire project. So you'd have to think about this as your organization. Basically, you have your consortium, you get maximum 360, and then you can divide the secondments between the different organizations. But each seconded researcher per organization can only be seconded from 1 to 12 months. And at least 1 month must be completed. So what I said, the minimum secondment duration is 1 month, 30 days. And after this, funding is pro rata. And please also note that secondment may be split into several stages. So there's basically what seconded researchers could do is to have several stays at different partner organizations to learn different skills and then return to the host organization and basically disseminate the skills they have learned basically at this organization. Okay. I've already mentioned that staff must work full-time on secondment, even if normally they work part-time. And a built-in return mechanism must be foreseen. And this is something, again, I would like to flag here. The European Commission really places an emphasis on the researcher, the seconded researcher, or the seconded staff member, returning to their original sending institution and disseminating the knowledge they have learned. So it's really not only working on a research project, but also disseminating the skills, knowledge, training, everything they have learned, basically at their sending institution, at their original institution, and thus furthering the research activities at their previous institution. Okay, secondments. Basically, here you can see the basically, I'm again providing you with an overview list of the secondments that are possible. So, for example, it could be you could have a secondment. You could have a researcher being seconded from an EU member state or as an EU associated country to a third country. So you could have someone coming in from Germany or France, and they would be fully funded if they came to your host institution in India. There could be secondments between the academic and non-academic institutions in a new member state or as a new associated country. There could be from a third country institution to a EU member state or as a new associated country, any sector. Again, in this case, if you send a researcher to Europe, funding eligibility rules apply. So in this case, you'd have to think about how this could be funded. And I understand that Georgia will talk more about the involvement of Indian organizations in a Marie Curie RISE project. So hopefully we'll hear more about this from him later on. Then I keep saying all the time that if a researcher or a staff member is being sent to be hosted at your institution, that his or her course will be fully funded. What do I mean by this? Well, I'm now giving you a brief overview over the different funding opportunities, funding categories. And in total, per secondment month, for each month this researcher is being seconded, the European Commission is paying 4,600 euros if the secondment is eligible for funding. Out of this 4,600 euros, 2,300 are staff member units cost, and they will be paid to the researcher so that travel costs, food as a subsistence cost, accommodation, etc. during the secondment is covered. So that's basically for the researcher that he or she can go to another country, learn new skill, and participate in the research project in the consortium. Then you have 1,300 for research training and networking costs. This is basically for all the research training and networking costs which would be incurred during the secondment, but it can also be this can be transferred to secondment host. So basically, if you say, look, I've got specific training opportunities for these researchers, but I need funding for this, then this can be transferred to you. And then there are also management and indirect costs. And this would cover all the costs for your organization which have been incurred by this secondment. So basically, if you have, I don't know, special I don't know, equipment, etc., that could be covered. So all the costs that are in relation to the secondment incurred by your organization. This could also be used towards network-wide activities. Okie dokie. A question we often get and a common mistake people often make is the letter of commitment. Associated partners, so institutions located in third countries, have to provide a letter of commitment. That is a requirement for associated partners. I'm afraid to say there's no way around this. And this letter must be up to date and detail your real and active participation in the proposed project. So it must be really clear on what you intend to do, basically your contribution to the MSCA Staff Exchange project. The European Commission is giving you general guidelines, and I will include a link in the final slides. My apologies, but you can find all the necessary guidelines on the MSCA Staff Exchange Call website. So basically they have guidelines there, what this letter needs to look like. And the thing is, if you fail to include this letter of commitment as a third country, as an organization of third country, this may result in the proposal being deemed ineligible or associated partners being excluded. So it is really a requirement for organizations in third countries, for associated partners, to include this letter of commitment in the proposal. So basically, if you would like to participate in a MSCA Staff Exchange, work on this early on, because as I would like to emphasize, these letters can take time to get signed by the appropriate authorities in your organization, let's say the head of research or something. So just make sure that you're aware of this, that you know what you need to do, that you have this as before the call closes. Okay. I would, because I'm fully aware that there's been a lot of information thrown at you, and at first it seems like a really complicated scheme. It can take some time to get a head around it. So I thought it would be best if I can just, summarize again what third country organizations can do in this scheme, because it is a lot. Third country organizations can host secondees, and you would be, again, fully funded. Researchers or staff, senior researchers from European countries such as EU member states or as Europe associated countries can come to your institutions, and they would be fully funded. I've outlined the funding they would receive later on. And again, I've outlined the funding they would receive in an earlier slide, apologies, in an earlier slide. And again, we will be uploading the slides so you can have a look as well later on. You can send staff on secondments. Again, you need to think about the funding eligibility, but you could also provide other training and networking opportunities. And please note there is no obligation that a third country associated partner must send a staff on secondment. So you could also provide other training networking opportunities and receive funding for this. You could contribute to advisory committees or project boards. So you could say, hey, I am an institution, I don't want to second staff, but I think due to my research area or research field, I could really contribute to an advisory committee in your consortium. There, like I said, the world is your oyster. With this scheme, you have a lot of opportunities. You can participate in network-wide activities. You can participate as a key stakeholder or end users, or you could provide other background, other resources. Again, I would like to emphasize that this scheme really places a huge emphasis on the participation of third countries, basically a more international collaboration, and also intersectoral participation. So basically, SMEs, non-academic sector being included. That being said, as this is a slate I would like to spend some time on, because we always receive questions like, I don't know where to start. I would really like to participate, but I have no idea where to start in finding project partners or in setting up my consortium. Where do I start? I have the links here, so you can just click on them. First of all, I would encourage you to have a look at the Marie Curie matchmaking platform. So anyone interested in, the people interested, the researchers, the organization interested in setting up a Marie Curie Staff Exchange project can publish their adverts here. You could also use the partner search function on the 2022 Marie Curie Staff Exchange Call webpage. They have a similar setup. And basically, you can find partners there in your research area, or you can publish your own ad. You can use your existing networks. You can contact potential partners. And you'd have to ask yourself, basically, is my internet presence up to date, and what am I contributing to the project? This is a tip, basically, I would like to give you from our experience. We had cases where people proactively contacted potential partners, were really clear on what they would contribute to the project, were really clear on what they would like to get out of the project, and then collaborations formed, international collaborations. And also we have the Cordis webpage, and I would encourage you to check out this webpage, because it includes a list of previous projects for potential collaborations. This website basically has all the funded Horizon Europe and Horizon 2020 projects. So you can just look through your research area and then see, is there someone with whom I would like to collaborate? And then basically go from there. But again, we will, or Samrat will be uploading the slides. So you will have the opportunity to have a look at all these different slides, all these different links. And yeah. Then I would like to end my presentations with reminders. First of all, just that you are aware that this call is now open. It has opened on the 6th of October. And the deadline to submit proposals is the 8th March of 2023, so next year. I would strongly encourage you to contact potential consortium partners early in advance. Don't leave it until the last minute. Don't think we can work out a proposal 1 month before the call deadline. We've seen cases, it just doesn't work. I would really encourage you to contact potential partners early in advance. Talk to them about their research, talk to them about what training opportunities they will be offering, or whether they would like to second staff, whether they'd like to host staff. Talk to them about what sector they are from. Talk to them early and really spend your time working with your partners on setting up the best research proposal you can think of. But like I said, don't leave it until the last minute, because we've seen cases and it's just not really good. Start your preparation, your proposal as early as possible. You will be, if your proposal has been selected, you'll be notified in June. And that is to be announced. And grant agreement signature would be in November. And the European Commission, I would just like to point this out, really aims to support you. So they also have a coordinators day in January and February where you can ask all the questions you have for your project implementation. I'm not sure how much more time I have, so I will just go over these proposal advice with you. And Samrat, if you could just quickly send me a message how much more time I have, just to be sure. Here, the proposal advice I would like to give you is that you read all the call documentation and the evaluation criteria. So really read this. This is very important. Don't make up your own criteria. The European Commission has on their call webpage a clear guidance on the evaluation criteria. They have clear guidance on the call documentation. And follow the call requirements. So follow the minimum consortia agreement. Check out what you need in terms of partners. Which partners do you need? Do you fulfill the minimum eligibility requirements? Do you need an inter-sectoral involvement? Would your secondments would there be at least 1 month minimum secondment, etc., etc.? And really, that's the first, these are the two main key points I would really like you to have a look at. Make sure that you're fully aware of the evaluation criteria, that you fully follow the template. I can't emphasize this enough because we often see cases where applicants have not followed the template. And of course, you know, then that's not good. But again, yeah. Be in line with the actions, objectives, and expected outcome. And something that we've also noted, what you need to do is you need to describe the benefits of the cooperation you propose. So it's a staff exchange program, but it's also setting up international collaboration and how they can go beyond this project. So you can say, look, we are now setting up a staff exchange scheme or a staff exchange project in our research area, but we intend to collaborate further in the future. And basically how this project will contribute to continued collaboration in your research field in a way that is, you know, intersectoral, international, but hopefully also intersectoral. If you write your proposal, plan in enough time, and I'm also emphasizing it again because this is basically just me putting on my evaluator's hat because we've seen some proposals coming in. If you write your proposal, plan in enough time to have, you know, several iterations of drafting and editing. Make it really easy for the evaluators and be really clear about what you intend to do. So be really clear, write really concise, clear language, and make it as easy for the evaluators as possible on what for them to identify what your project is about. Research previous and current project, that's also something I would encourage you to have think about. That's why what I had on the previous website is so important, the website of previous research projects which were funded by Horizon Europe, under Horizon Europe or under Horizon 2020. Because then you can see what has been funded and basically where you can add to it or what collaborations basically you can now set up based on previous research or research collaborations. Yeah, and again, consider any evaluate EU policy documents. I will get to that as well, but just let me quickly. Yeah, here's a list of resources. The call web page has all the information you need in order to successfully apply. So I would really encourage you to have a look at the call web page. It has a submission link where you, where in the end the submission of the proposal will be where the applicants will submit the proposal. It has the partner search function, so I'd really encourage you to have a look at the call web page and then also at the other resources. Samrat has informed me that I've got a few more minutes to torture you. So I will be very briefly going through this. This is more additional resources, Marie Curie guidance. I'm aware that I've already given you a lot of information, so it's just more that you're aware of this. And again, we will upload the slides, or Samrat will upload the slides. There are the Marie Curie guidelines for supervision. It is just that under Marie Curie, researchers are expected to be supervised, they are expected to be supported and receive all the training they need in order to become successful researchers, successful entrepreneurs. Basically, they should be exposed to a variety of different training opportunities, and also there is a need for transparent procedures if there, in case any conflict arises. And I have provided you with a link, and you can just read through it. There's also the Marie Curie Queen Charter. This is a novelty in Marie Curie. They basically hope that this helps reduce the carbon footprint of Marie Curie research projects. It is not part of the evaluation criteria, but it's just something that you might want to be aware of, as it will be a reporting requirement. So basically, what are you doing to reduce the carbon footprints of Marie Curie projects? Or increase eventual awareness on environmental issues and promote sustainable behaviors and policies. Last slides, the guidelines for the inclusion of researchers at risk. It's just basically something you're encouraged to do. It's basically encouraged to take measures to include researchers at risk in Marie Curie funded projects. If you are interested, here are guidelines. And lastly, there should also be attracting working conditions. Now I have provided you here with the links to a few guidelines. And again, once the slides have been uploaded, I would encourage you to have a look at them. And that being said, I would like to thank you all, and I hope I haven't overrun.
Actually, Anne, perfect in time. Very well timed presentation.
Just want to say sorry for asking you about the 10 minutes, but I just wasn't sure at one point.
No, it was really perfect, and thank you for a very thorough presentation and very well structured. And it gives, I think many of the audience are new to the staff exchange program, so I think it gave them a very good understanding of what this program is about and how one can participate and what are the benefits. But we're also very happy that we have now Professor Jorge Diaz with us. Anna, you will stay with us because we will have, I think a very intense Q&A session, because there are many questions waiting for you in the Q&A. But I think it's very nice to have now Professor Jorge Diaz with us, who's actually coordinating a staff exchange program. When he applied, it was still called Research Innovation Staff Exchange RISE. It has been renamed, but kind of the structure of that program, the call is quite similar. And Professor Jorge is from the University of Coimbra in Portugal, and the project they have, he will now tell us a bit about it, has also an Indian partner organization, the National Institute of Oceanography in Goa. So it would be very nice for us to understand how in practical a program runs, a project under the staff exchange call. So Professor Jorge, thank you so much for joining us. And could you tell us a bit about yourself, of course, first, and also about this project you are leading under the Marie Curie Action? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Very good morning from Portugal. Yes, I'm professor in the University of Coimbra. Is a university that is one of the oldest ones in the country and also in Europe. 700 years is something. So we have institute, they call it Institute of System and Robotics, and we work on the different aspects of robotics. And this project is aligned with the trends to looking for environmental aspects, using tools like robots to help to do observations on the wildlife, and also looking for mechanisms to this observation become available later on for more analysis of the ecosystems. This is the aim of the project. It's just a starting point from a line of research that we have. And Pramod Maurya, that is with us right now, is an old colleague from India that was, of course, involved in the project since the beginning, together with another colleagues. Let me say that I think, Anna, you have been very exhaustive on the way you present the things. I think is very good. I think you need to really read all the slides that Anne show. It looks like very systematic, comprehensive the way she presented, but by my previous let's say experience as coordinator of this project, all these advices, all the small lines that Anne wrote, actually you need to pay attention. That you cannot make shortcuts on these advices, because in some reason there are one reviewer or another colleague that sees, here is less good than another one, and I cannot promote your proposal, and favorize another one. So you need to be careful on the advices, because it's really, really very important. And this is a first attempt to say. Another thing about our project is we are very happy to work with India. More than that, I believe on the consortium, that is a consortium of different partners. I don't know, Samarat, if I can just show some slides, or you prefer not doing it? I can I? Because
yeah,
if
please,
I can. Yes, I can just share some of the things with you. I'll do it for now. So let me come back to that. Because it's good to show to you what they are, the partners, what kind of people we have involved, and how we interact between each other, okay? So basically, this is the name of the project. This is International Research and Training Project, as I mentioned to you. And again, the use of this project is use robotics for analysis of marine species in particular, and biodiversity and aquatic environments, and that's a very important thing. And yeah, the idea is looking for tools for less intrusive ecological analysis and monitoring of the things. However, you know, we have this project, but in fact with COVID, and this project was really in the bad shape in a certain moment, because you cannot exchange people. And it was a very bad moment on the project. We ran it until more or less June 2020, but you know, the basis that sometimes online, sometimes trying to have people and then cancel because COVID don't allow. And in a certain moment, you just freeze the project. And right now in May 2022, we start again. And this shows the flexibility that we have in these programs, that it was not easy, but we can manage also situations like this. And right now the program is running until 2024. And we launched, let's say, relaunched the project on May. The project partners are these ones. As you can see, we have universities, and this is the case of Institute for System Robotics, another university here that is in Lisbon, also Tallinn, that is another university in the north country in Europe, and they have another names here that is Phobos, Evologic, 3D Visions, and Fly Rose, and Dubi Life, that are actually companies. So these companies are companies that are somehow related with things that are related with the ecology. So basically, this is do the exercise what Anne mentioned before. We have partners that are industrial partners, or let's say people that receive knowledge, and the universities that provide researchers that can interact with these people. NEO and Santana are, you know, a different role. Santana is a university, as in Pisa, that we all know, and NEO is a partner in India that is really a research institution that is mainly more related with the research itself. Let's say that there are always, you know, classifications that I mentioned here. You can see the names here of the different types, companies, academic, you know, these kind of things are necessary to have a correct balance. In our project, we have somehow a correct balance. We have almost the same amount of companies and, and also universities that give the correct balance between the transfer of knowledge. This is something very important to have a successful, let's say, project. And then, is the usual mechanism of low, let's say, TRL level, or let's say also very deep research science on the academic part that are related with another people that are more related with application of this research, like NEO and like Evologic, like Phobos, like 3 divisions and UV Life. Basically the project normally is organized under different work packages. This is very important scheme. We have activities that are work package of tasks, activities, and they are mainly concentrated in different projects. So these kind of projects are some kind of work packages that run different early stage research projects that can be involved, people from different areas, different partners, okay? Can be new people, can be people inside already on the partnership, so people that already work, or people that somehow become engaged and then become PhD students and so on. So it's very, very flexible mechanism, and I think here, Pramod can be more specific later on about how we run. This is just an idea of what kind of project that we have running under these work packages, names like profiling underwater wildlife population, developing analytical models for the movement of patterns of underwater devices, that are these vehicles that we can use as mimicking some kind of fishes, or in this case, it was a manta ray. Locomotion under the water, these different types of things related with that, energy efficiency. So all the kind of aspects that we can have important for the project are, for us designing. When you design a project, you should always think about this kind of project. You should have the projects that involve new researchers, early researchers together, mix it with experienced researchers, under different work packages. This is the big lesson that I should say. Then you need to write it in a certain form, a textual form that is convincing the people. So basically, the work packages are here repeated again. You can see all of them. This is just an example that maybe you can find from another examples. But one particular aspect that you need to pay attention is that these people need to join together. And you have what you call it a training plan. You should have a work package just for training, where you define different summer schools, different workshops along the time that joint people and just reset or readjust the activities. And this is what's happening with Pramod and NEO, that you already have a previous, let's say, summer school or school on the marine. We are planning to have a new one on January. Pramod, please make an advertising about that soon, because I think it's very important to have people around. And then the project itself pays what we call it secondments, that are people moving from one place to another place, moving not from one university to another university, from one university to the industry, or from industry to the universities. So this is like a cross-fertilization that allow us to interact between each other and profit from knowledge from different parts. Sometimes the companies themselves have some knowledge how to do things, and we profit from that to have its own training inside of the universities. And also from the university side, we also just seconded some researchers to the industry to transfer the knowledge. This is secondments that we have on the past. We have different secondments, as you can see, until the month 77, that is long time. So it's a long-term view on this project, as you can see, is due to the COVID, we just readjust everything a little more longer than usual. But it's what we have nowadays, and this is what I'd like to say about the project right now. Just before, allow Pramod tell something about you know, the participation on the NEO on this project. Okay, Pramod, please.
Thank you, George. Thank you very much, and thank you, Samrat, for inviting me to be part of this.
Welcome.
This talk. I would talk mostly about how as a country in India, or how as a partner, an Indian partner, we go well, and what is our experience, and how we got in touch with that, and how useful it is. I will focus mostly on that. If you allow me to share some slides, I can just show that how what we do here and how we got in touch with that. So let me just see if I can quickly start. Do you see the slides?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So my name is Pramod Maurya. I work as a principal scientist at CSIR National Institute of Oceanography. Just to let you know about our institution, this is an institution which is a government institution which works on all the aspects of oceanographic research. And it is part of the bigger umbrella, which is Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. Now, National Institute of Oceanography, we have a division here which works on marine instrumentation and robotics. So I am part of that division. So without going into, because I know there is not so much of time to explain in detail that how this organization actually works, I will directly come to the point that what we do here. So we develop technology which helps scientists in terms of acquisition of data more autonomously, where involvement of the human is reduced and the cost is reduced, and the places where humans cannot access but the robots can access. So we develop such kind of robots which gives us data which is very useful for the environmental scientists, for modeling scientists, for physical oceanographers, or even for the geological applications for minerals and resources. So we have been working on underwater vehicle, vertical profiler, coastal observation system, and going into deep sea. The most recent project which we are working on was coral reef monitoring robot. So this is what it fits very well into ecobotics, which was we were talking about how we can study our environment, how can we mimic the organisms which are there and learn from them and make our robot in such a way that we would be able to perform more efficiently. In this particular case, it was more about environmental monitoring. So we were building a robot for coral reef monitoring and seabed photography. And here, that is when, before this, we had a multiple interaction with 2 or 3 European partners, especially from Lisbon. George I had met earlier in a workshop. And we had met Antonio Pascual, Professor Antonio Pascual from University of Lisbon. So like that we had met, and they knew about our work. So my message is, when we go for such kind of project, it's very important that we have some kind of pre-involvement. It cannot be, just like last moment I decided there is a call, let me see what I can do. It won't work unless you have some kind of in fact, what she was telling, that 2 to 3 months before, I would say even take a year and start interacting beforehand, and so that to find out some kind of common problem. So I realized that they're also working on robotics. We are also working on robotics. Why do we do replication of the work, one here and one there? And why can't we have something which we can work together and both of us can use, or not only both, but more of the partners in the network can be used. So when they knew that we are working on coral reef monitoring bot, how this data can be utilized, how we can take an expertise of the robot which has already been developed in Europe. So this was more of a mutual, in which we have equality and we have mutual respect for the work which we do with each other. So once that thing is built up, which means the chemistry between the people is working very well, then comes any kind of consortium. When we participate, it will always be successful because the chemistry is very important. So we see that there are a lot of components in where we could have students coming from other partners, spending some time with us. They can implement their theoretical ideas, experiment them here with the practical systems which we have, or complement each other. So this was that, and then we conduct also kind of meet where we invite Indian industry, we invite the users of our oceanographic institution, and this is where the experts and the other learning students can also participate from the rest of the network. So this we call kind of a meet, where we can also call it as a workshop. It's not really a training program, it is more of discussion, showcasing, and coming out with some kind of new ideas which would help the users as well as the industry to solve a certain problem of oceanographic research. Now, in this particular project, we had visits from industry. We also have visits from the academic institution, and participation in the field trips in our waters, and do some experiments and learn from this. Every time when you go to the sea, it's always different. Even if you're going second time to the same place, you always learn something new. So that kind of experience which students gain, and even the professors who come here, and they enjoy the multicultural activity here, and that also makes a very good environment, and it is also good for the knowledge to come up. Now, this was the school which we conducted in 2018, and you would see that there were professors from all over the place, from Portugal, from Spain, from Germany, UK, and also many people from Norway, and our Indian partners as well. So this school actually, I would say was a very good platform now to participate, to say that, okay, Indian partners are also here, the European experts are also there, and we could all discuss that this is the kind of problem we are solving, and they are also solving such kind of problems. How can we come together and use an advantage of these exchange programs wherein we can receive? So as a, it is as a part of this program, we receive, the Indian partner is called, I don't really like the word third country, but well, we have to live with it. It could be called something else. Wherein we can receive students, we can receive other researchers, and they could spend a month or 2 months depending on the problem which we have to solve. And that gives, most of our laboratories here in India are mostly with Indian students, and multicultural activities are found very little in some of the universities only. But this program gives us to bring in people from many other different places and solve a problem which is common to all the partners. So under this program, we also receive some funding, and this funding is mostly for taking care of the overhead charges. This funding, so this project is not mostly about it is not about funding, but it is about building a network of experts, if you say, and it gives us opportunity to learn to work in a new environment, and also to learn new things. So, but the funding is there, in which covers the cost of, for example, any institution which is hosting will be providing electricity, table, places. So there are some overhead charges which are actually being given to the institution. So more than that about is building the network of the experts. And we have had very good relationship. We had multiple visits of professors coming here. And because of the COVID, we could not utilize the full advantage. I visited also a couple of times to the institution in Lisbon. But now we are gearing up, and we are expecting to receive many secondments. We have planned for 6 secondments which would be coming to NIO, and there are a lot of problems which we already have discussed pre-hand before they come here, that what kind of work they would actually be doing when they come here. So this is win-win. They also get to know a different environment. They get to know about our robots, and we get to know about the work which their university is doing, and we can have a common output as a publication or kind of common product delivery and things like that. So that is very, very, very exciting to have such. I was very excited when I came to know about this project, and I said, okay, this is a very good opportunity to host multiple students from So we are. I would be very happy to announce that the similar marine robotics school, which we were actually conducted in 2018, and after that, because of the COVID, it got a break. We are going to have it again in January 2023, which is already planned up, and this will help. Not only it's under training. It will not only provide training to the students who are enrolled in many programs, but we are also inviting students and faculty members from many Indian institutions as well as the ocean rim countries. Our plan is to invite from the countries which share the same Indian Ocean water, for example, take Vietnam, Oman, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. All of these people would actually be coming. And in fact, I have been receiving emails when we are going to have a marine robotics school next one. So it is, this would give our student and people who would like to come in here an opportunity to interact with the professors who are coming from Europe and the students who are coming from Europe and formulate a kind of a new project. Thank you very much.
Pramod, thank you so much for your intervention, and I'm very happy that you could join us. And this gives a very balanced view about the staff exchange program. As you already said, you both, Professor George, and you outlined the benefits of this program, and you kind of already answered the questions I had prepared for you. It's like how to form a consortium, and Pramod, you already said how to form is that it's good to have already a pre-existing collaboration. Already a network, like you already knew Professor George from before, and that's why you came in and formed, applied together for this call. The other thing was also the role of the coordinators and the partners. You also mentioned that. And lastly, also you mentioned the benefits. It's not about the funding, it's more about developing a collaborative partnership. It's also about investing into maybe future activities which one can do together. So I'm very happy for this wonderful summary which you gave us now in the last minutes. And also I would like now to ask Anne and Professor George if they could also come into the meeting room, that we can now open some Q&A with our audience. Yeah, okay, perfect. So I'll take we have a few minutes, but I'll start with some questions which are, I think, also more for Anne, but I'm happy, of course, if Professor George and Mr. Pramod can come in. Anne, can there be more than one institution from a so-called third country like India in the consortium out of the recommended 6 members? Is it possible to have more than one institution from India?
So first, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Basically, you need to fulfill the minimum eligibility criteria for the consortium. So at least 3 different institutions in 3 different countries, 2 of them being a member state or rising of the associated country, and then the rest is really depends on the needs of the project.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
May I say something?
Yes.
May I say
please.
something here? I think is extremely important, because there are one aspect here that I'd like to emphasize. We are talking about people coming typically from India or India going to India and researchers, but it's not just that. Also industry that are keen to leverage the technology they have in India. Maybe they like to be in this consortium. And this is a good opportunity for some companies coming from India, because the skills are not just in the Europe side, skills are also in the other side. So we need to emphasize this aspect. It's not just human beings and people and researchers, but maybe also companies that would like to involve. Okay.
Okay. Another question is, are faculty who are not regularly employed eligible for this program, or is it only for faculty who have permanent contracts, for the exchange and the secondment? Is there any criteria on that, or?
Maybe George, you have an idea about this, but
I have, but Anna, you are the boss here on this.
The boss here? Yeah, I was about to say, in terms of eligibility criteria, they have to be involved in the action, and they have to have a legal link to the university. So as long as they have a contract for that time, I think I assume it would be okay. However, this is one of these nitty-gritty things where sometimes you get like someone being in 3 different universities at the same time with a contract. So I'm really hesitant to give a definite answer without really seeing the situation in question, because we had cases where they had 3 contracts at the same time as part-time, and it got a bit messy. So if you would like, I'd like you to invite the send this question to our mailbox.
Yes, yeah. I must say, Samrat, that this is a question that happens not just, happens to many people. And the commitment of the person and the institution should be tangible. And the best way to do it is under one contract. But for example, a student that is a student from an institution, yes, he somehow has a form of commitment as a PhD student or something. So then the way he operates on sometimes it's the regulation of the country. Also in Europe, we have these issues, you know, to receive secondment, to receive money, tax involved. It depends of the cases, like Han said. But basically, you have some kind of commitment, and this commitment should be written in certain form. Okay.
Employment contract.
One question which I think also I would like Pramod to come in is about the funding for travel costs for the Indian partner. Now we know that there is funding; they're not eligible for funding from the Commission's, the European Commission's side, but promote either way around, like national funding one can apply, or like, you know, what was the case with your institution? You have been to the project partners on your own funding, right?
Yes, we have funding for the development of the bots, which are separately. The travel funding could be completely separate, as it is not funded by the Commission for Indian students to travel. The secondment from India to the other side is not possible. Only receiving of the secondment is possible. However, if you are part of such a project, which is MSCA exchange program, you could always apply a separate funding to Department of Science and Technology or to other funding agencies that we are part of this consortium, and your proposal will become stronger that you're already part of the consortium and you would like to spend a month or so there. And there are many country to country institutions also which funds, for example, Indo-German. If you're going to Germany, despite you are part of the European Commission, but there are many programs in India where Indo-German is separate, Indo-Portugal is separate. So under that, or Indo-France is separate. Recently, there was a call for going to FRMR. If you already had in this consortium, if you already have part of this partnership and you say, okay, I would like to spend some time in this institution, I have already talked to the professor, your chances of getting the funding to visit that is much, much higher. So that advantage you get with this consortium.
Anne, would you like to say something, or?
No, I just wanted basically to chime on that. We always, I'm sorry, I now sound a bit like shorter. We were talking about secondments, but again, I've listed other opportunities which, you know, might be interesting, such for Indian organizations, such as participating in an advisory board, or, you know, project-wide training opportunities, or meeting, just being part of the national consortium. But I really want to emphasize that being part of one project doesn't mean that, you know, suddenly all research stops and you never can apply for another very cool project again. It could be the start, let's say, of a wonderful relationship. So you can always, you know, think ahead in 2 years, 3 years, etc.
Yeah.
So many of Marie Curie postdoctoral fellows then later came back for RISE projects, etc. For example.
True, yeah.
If I may say something here that is more probably a strategic thought. I know India somehow, or some part of this part of the country. You know, the collaboration is something that is done by people and takes time to observe the way we do the collaborations. The collaboration is different from partnerships defined by governments and policies, okay? This is something that is nurtured by the network of between, you know, people, and in this case, researchers and the industry. So you need to, as an advice, you need to nurturing these collaborations. That nowadays you do it by email, by social, Facebooks and so on, but you should be more. You should do a step in and try to do, okay, I'm here, I can visit you, but let's do something together, okay? And you put your part, I put my part, and we do it more by collaboration. So this kind of lesson is a very important one. Pramud already have this training. Other institutions don't have this training, need to start by that way. It's slowly growing, and then, find the consortium that you like. This is no another way. This is the way we do the collaboration all the time. Okay?
Thank you so much to all three of you. We take a few more questions. Who submits now the application? Is it the principal investigators, the researcher? Is it the administrative staff? Is it the institution? Like, how does it work? Like, and who is in charge then? Like, is it then the admin, or is it the faculty? That was some questions came about that.
I'm going to be the person and just barge forward and say, let me answer this one. And yeah. So basically, in your consortium, you'd have to designate a coordinator. And that coordinator has to be from the EU member state or the Horizon Europe associated country. And that coordinator is then responsible for submitting the application time, making sure that everything is correct, etc., etc. And in terms of the nitty-gritty details, it will be the staff at the coordinators institutions that will submit it. That's for them to handle. What I would strongly advise you as an advice is to make sure that your involvement and any funding you receive for hosting seconded researchers, for example, is very clearly outlined straight from the beginning, and that you also very clearly detail this in a consortium agreement. That you basically are very clear in writing on what you will do and when, what you will receive in terms of funding if you host researchers, for example.
Yes, and let me say something extra, because also my experience with India, I think that question is very pertinent, okay? Because normally in India, everything comes very hierarchical, and I don't have any comment on that, but is the fact that these initiatives come by the faculty or by the person that started the consortium. Should come by him, but of course the institution involved should really endorse the activity. Yeah. So he needs to do the things, he needs to do, take responsibility in the end, with backup of, administration that have, of course, good relations with that person. And normally a consortium is different from, one unique institution. A consortium is like a set of people, is like, let's say, a partnership, like a company that we have different partners. So in this case, it's a project, and we have different people involved, and I have one coordinator. This coordinator is responsible, like myself, to somehow remember another partners that what they need to do. This is what happens. Sometimes it's very difficult, but sometimes it's also funny. I said, sorry guys, but it's time to do this thing. Sorry guys. So you need to have some kind of leadership. And this, as you know, people from different countries have different cultures, and sometimes it is not easy job, but not, impossible. It's actually very real. So you can really, learn many things from that. Okay, this is a very important aspect. So initiative from the person, then with the backup of the institution, and then later on with another colleagues. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Can the lead institution be from India, or it has to be from Europe, like the project coordinator?
Sorry, I didn't want to jump. So you mean lead institution, I assume you mean the coordinator?
Coordinator, yeah. Yeah,
the coordinator has to be from EU member state, Horizon Europe associated country. Sorry for being blunt here.
Okay. How many research can be included from one partner organization
I understand
in the project?
Apologies, sorry, I feel like I'm always constantly barging in on charge. I understand that there are no, hard guidelines, because it really depends on the needs of the project. Your research project, the one you submit, has to really give confidence to the evaluators that, you really thought this through, that all these secondments make sense, etc., etc. So I understand that there are no hard guidelines, but really don't put all the secondments in one organization. That doesn't look good.
And maybe promote. Could you tell us how many are involved from your institute in the project?
Yeah, so it's not really about how many, when we write this proposal, the coordinator writes the proposal, there are certain work packages. So where do we fit into that work packages? There is no that I can be part of almost all 7 work packages and working together with them. Or if I have enough resources, and it's between the network. So when we do a mutual talk with each other, it's on, okay, I found very suitable in terms of environmental monitoring work package of that, so I would come into that. Or somebody would say that I'm more on the modeling side, and he would come on the modeling side. So there is no fixed as such. It all between the network partners, that how they agree upon.
Okay.
There could be sometime overlap, but if the approaches are different, probably the coordinator can say, okay, well, let's do it together.
Okay. Okay, one more question, and that's to Professor George. Professor George, if I understand well, individual internal objectives and key summary of each objectives identified by all members of the consortium to prepare for the project proposal. Is that correct?
Yes, if I can say some kind of rule to start a project is that the project have always a aim, and this aim needs to be concrete in some terms. So I don't try to give a class on this, but you should have a aim. Ecobotics is one example. We have a aim, and we define under this aim some objectives that we have a methodology to reach them. Okay, basically, if the consortium don't agree on the aim, if the consortium don't agree more particularly on the objectives, we have a huge problem. So probably start by this way. Okay, aim. Okay, we have sharing this thing, and then we have objectives, and we need to share these objectives. These objectives typically are spread later on, because these objectives to achieve these objectives, you need to put some activities, right? And these activities should be there, and you should be delivering things under these activities. So this is coming by definition of who is doing this objective, how we define the strategy to achieve this objective. And the strategy is methodologies that are research-oriented methodologies or technology-oriented, mechanisms. Of course, this is for the majority of the technical work packages, technical activities. For management, we know what it is. You need to fulfill the objective is to have all the accounting correctly. We need to do all this respect according to laws and so on. But for the majority of the things that are coming as most important in this project is objectives that have an aim, that should have impact on the, let's say, European level, or H2020 level, or some of the aims that we have in H2020 actually are shared with India, and India probably share the same aim, and we need to define objectives with partners between each other. So this is like a jointing mechanism that everybody do some part on it, okay?
Thank you so much.
If the aims are not very concrete, the proposal will have very less chance to be accepted by the Commission.
True. So it has to be really a collaborative effort. So with that, I'm looking at the clock, and it's 4:30 here. So I really want to thank our audience for being with us for this very informative 90 minutes full packed session. But I will let you only go. I want to hear from our speakers if they can give us one more advice and tip to potential interested institutions from India now who would be now interested to be part of a consortium. So last word, let's start with Anne. What is the last tip you would give for today?
I think my tip will be echoed by both other speakers, but it's really start early, start contacting, potential collaborators early and build your networks, and, be really clear on what you bring to the table, so to speak, but also how you'd like to participate, how you fit into the project. but I think they will just literally, yeah.
Great, Professor George.
So I think if Anne leave the slides there, I think all the advices are there. Just follow them systematically, and then need to think in that slides and people from Europe side. We need to contact partners, friends. It's coming by persons. Collaboration comes by persons, not by institutions. Come by the persons. So we need to, leverage this relationship, and then this Marie Curie framework give opportunity to finance this kind of progress of this collaboration. This is what I would like to say.
Great. And Pramod, what is your advice?
I would agree with Annie saying that you have to start much more. Your collaboration should start before even thinking of this consortium or this project. So what my suggestion is for the students and for the professors, because this kind of from funding from the Indian point of view, it has to be an institution or a company. It cannot be initiated by a research student by himself. So if it is an institution, the research student must approach his guide that I am very much interested in the work of so and so, such that the guide would be able to contact such person even before this consortium is made. So that is my final advice, that start participating into multiple workshops where more and more people come, so that you can actually build the network. So building the network important, and then you can go for the collaborative projects.
Apologies, can I give one final advice? And
Sure.
Basically, it's just focus on the technical side. Again, we will be someone will be uploading the slides. But as I said on the slides, all the information, everything you need for the proposal, you can find on the Marie Curie Call webpage. So really read through this. There are no hidden, trapdoors. It's really all on the Call webpage. Everything you need.
And here we hear the bell ringing. Thank you so much, the three of you. Thank you so much to our audience who has come today in large numbers. That makes us very happy to see that there's a huge interest in EU-India collaboration under the MSCA. And I wish you all good luck for those who are looking to, be part of a consortium and apply. The call is open, but as Anne and George and Pramod said, it's be early with your preparations. With that, I will conclude now today's session. Thank you so much for joining, and have a very nice afternoon and lunchtime in Europe. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, Samra. Bye, Han.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye.